Okay, now I need to assemble the third rotor. I took it apart. I'm going to put it back together, make sure everything's really true and flat. This is called a banding wheel. They use them in pottery. They spin perfectly true. They're really a great tool for making discs and stuff like that for motors. Okay, what I need to do is this rotor right here. I already had it together, but I took the hubs off and I belt sanded this flat, And here's the hubs. I have a large size, one side, another one on the other side. So these are going to go through that. I got to make sure everything is completely 90 degrees flat and perfect for when I put it together on that shaft. Everything needs to be perfect. Okay, first I put like a plastic disc on here and center it. Doesn't need to be perfectly centered right now. And now, reason for that plastic disc, it's 1/2 inch thick, is so that this thing doesn't stick to the steel really hard and it's almost impossible to get off. Okay, so now I'm going to put this on there. Now it's on there really nice, and it's tight. It's not so tight, I can still move it around a little bit and shift it. So what I'm going to do is spin this and look at this edge right here. See, right there, it needs to be moved this way. If any of you ever made pottery, this is centering the clay is what you call it. So you need to center the rotor here. Okay. Okay, basically you see this edge of the banding wheel. When it spins, it doesn't even move. So that's centered. And so you want the same thing in the edge of this rotor. It doesn't really move. However, this has a bunch of epoxy and Kevlar strips put around it. So it's not a nice factory machine edge here, but this looks about as good as I can get it, and also this center hole looks pretty centered too, so I'm going to call this centered. Okay? This is why they call them banding wheels, because you can put nice bands on. So I'm going to take this ink pen, hold it steady, and now I got a perfect round band, I guess you'd call it. Might as well put one out here. Out here. And I'll put some more here. Okay, now when you want to put a hub on and make sure it's absolutely centered, you know this is centered. Those lines you're drawing are centered, and so you can put this right exactly just using those lines you drew. So there's a hub centered on there. Okay, here's a close-up. I haven't glued this hub yet. See that line right there? There, so right up to the edge of that line. Okay, I'm going to use this plastic bonder stuff. It's yellowish. Has a really strong smell. Better wear gloves too. Squirt it in there. I put it next to a light bulb for about 15 minutes. So it's nice and warm. It flows really easy. Mix it up really quick. And put it on here, both sides. I'm not going to do that much of it. I don't want it gooping out the edges. And notice I etched a lot of holes on here with a Dremel tool. Same with the other area. So now I'm going to put it on. Okay. Give it a spin, make sure it's centered. Okay, now I'm just going to leave that. Let it dry while you know it's perfectly centered. Okay, just going to leave it, not touch it for a half hour.